Hi, lovely people. I'm Susie Redding, and I'm so grateful to Lou for bringing us together for this collective nourishment. And it's a lovely opportunity for me to share my self-care toolkit. I'm a psychologist, a yoga teacher. I'm also a qualified personal trainer, and I am passionate about empowering people with the tools of self-care, especially in these really challenging times, because from my own life experience of motherhood colliding with the terminal illness of my father, what I learned from that experience is that when we need self-care the most, that's when it feels so out of reach. We don't have the same time, the same energy, the same funds available. We can feel really guilty about diverting precious resources away from those who need us and spending that on ourselves. And right now, in this midst of real squeeze, of genuine anxiety, genuine financial pressure, concern, inability to connect in ways, we just can't nourish ourselves as we normally would. Yeah, so we need a whole new toolkit. But in that time of squeeze, it can be very hard to be creative and resourceful. So that's what I'm here to share with you today. Ways to help you cope in the moment with an awareness of why self-care is tough at the best of times, but especially challenging in these tough times. Okay, so what I want to do first is provide a working definition of self-care, because from my experience, that's what helps us engage in more nourishing action more often, knowing what it is. Okay, so my definition of self-care is healthcare. It is nourishing yourself head, heart, and body. And I think we're very well versed with what it takes to nourish our physical body, but maybe when it comes to emotional, energetic, and mental health, we could do with some fresh inspiration. So that's what I'll be providing you with today. There's a second part of that definition that I think is really important, that will help you get clear on the true act of nourishment in the moment. And that is self-care nurtures you in this moment, and it also nurtures the person that you are becoming, your future self, if you like. Okay, this second part of the definition will help you make a distinction between crutches that help you cope in the moment and true self-care, healthcare, the stuff that makes tomorrow easier. Okay, so the mantra is: avoid coping strategies today that make tomorrow harder. Yeah, this is what I learned from my own experience of energetic bankruptcy. See if you can swap those choices for something nourishing, something that helps you cope in the moment, but also something that makes life easier for your future self. Okay, so understanding the distinction between crutches and self-care, I hope will help you make more nourishing action more often. I'm not saying it's easy, but if we don't do it, that's when we get into this rut. You know, one poor choice leads to another. But conversely, one healthy choice, one life-giving choice leads to an upward spiral. And that's what we'll set in motion today. Okay, so let's acknowledge self-care right now is really challenging. As I've already said, so many of the things that we would normally do to nourish ourselves are inaccessible right now. We're also in a real state of disconnect. Yeah, we're missing people. We're missing the opportunity to make memories. There's a real sense of collective anxiety and grief right now. We need to go very gently. This is not the time for grand, sweeping, elaborate change. This is not the time for self-flagellation. We need tenderness. We need care. Okay, but we also need, instead of these short-term crutches, we need real self-care. So how do we do it? I want to share with you 5 ways that we can cope in the moment. Those 5 ways are breath, movement, posture, touch, and self-compassion. Now we're going to dive in and build our practical toolkit together. Using the breath, I'm going to show you a couple of different strategies that have completely different energetic effects. The first one is something that will help you release worry, release your burden, that can help you re-energize. This is useful at any point in your day. It's called the candle breath, where we breathe in through the nose and we breathe out through gently pursed lips, as if you were very gently blowing out a candle. Repeat as often for as long as you need to. The beautiful thing about that is that it dials down the stress response. When we breathe better, we feel better. When we're breathing naturally and expansively, it helps us stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest portion of the nervous system, which mediates stress hormones. As soon as we spiral into the stress response, prefrontal cortex goes offline. It makes it harder to think straight. It makes it harder to empathize. It makes it much harder to delay gratification. It makes it harder to take action in service of our values. A few smooth breaths connects you with your calm, abiding center. It helps you choose kind, compassionate words. It helps us cope in the moment. Okay? Second one is the lion breath. Now, this one is particularly useful for roaring out anger, frustration, resentment. It's a beautiful alternative to saying something harmful. Okay? Perfect for us adults, but also equally really powerful for kids. Please share this with your kids. So with a lion breath, we breathe in through the nose and we exhale through the mouth with the tongue extended as far out as possible with a real guttural roar. It looks like this. You might need to do a couple to really let go, but very powerful, very cathartic. This is how we cope in the moment. Doesn't cost anything, doesn't require any energy, doesn't take any time. It helps us feel better and it helps make tomorrow easier. Okay, so that's the breath. Now, the next two ways that we can nourish ourselves in the moment, movement and posture, I'm going to put together in one little ritual. We all know that movement has potent antidepressant effects. It's not just exercise or sport or fitness, it's any movement can lift your mood. Posture as well has a very profound effect on how we feel. And research has shown it affects energy levels, mood, and our sense of personal power. So let's draw on the power of movement and a long, tall spine, open-hearted chest with these good old little chicken wing shoulder rolls. It helps us drop our day from our shoulders. We're releasing pain and tension, and it helps us breathe better as well. And then shake it out. There it is. Really simple. You can do that while you sat at your desk. You can do that while you're at the kitchen sink. You can do that post-nappy change. And it can change the quality of your day in an instant. The next one, touch. How can we harness the power of touch? You might see that I do this quite often. Yeah, when I do this, I'm extending care towards myself and I'm releasing oxytocin, the feel-good hormone. So a couple of ways that we can use touch. If you think about where we habitually hold tension, it's not just the shoulders. We've released that with our chicken wings, but we need to release here. So can we do a little pitter patter? Releasing all those things you haven't said, all those emotions that you haven't shown, and then a firm stroke downwards. Release your jaw. And then the next one, just press the back of your hand to your forehead firmly. And notice how that is literally like hitting the reboot button. And then let it go. And then the last one, compassion. So can we place our hands across our heart? And with that action, can we give ourselves permission to feel? This is not about always seeking the bright side. It is not about perpetual positivity. We give ourselves permission to feel while staying anchored in a sense of perspective, giving thanks for our blessings, but we allow ourselves to acknowledge the loss, the strain, the grief, and we move through our feelings with tenderness, with presence. And maybe as worries pop up, we can reframe them into a little prayer of well wishes for those we love, those around us, for all beings, for ourselves. Well done, lovely people. I hope that is useful. Self-care is healthcare, nourishing you in this moment and the person you are becoming. Take good care of you. Bye.